What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the JR Wisdom channel. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Happy Sunday and all that other good stuff. All of you guys who are just now tuning into my videos for the first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the bell. That way you receive notifications for all my future videos. So, as usual, I'm back with you guys on another Pimp Pastor, Rogue Pastor video. Many of you may be familiar with this story. I had heard about it, but I didn't do a video on it. But now I'm just going to follow up and do the video about it because of recent events with Mr. Cordell Jenkins. You know, he's now requesting bond to get out for his crimes of obviously child pornography and, you know, prostitution, you know, sex trafficking, exploitation of a minor, all these other things. So I find it kind of strange because, like I said, a lot of times with these guys who have a flock or who are, you know, the head of the church in their communities, they have, even though they conduct these acts, and I know it's innocent until proven guilty, they still have so much support, you know, and it's like, even with evidence and grand jury indictments and things like that, and this coming to light, they say, well, my pastor would never do this. And I know, as all of the videos I do, that I'm going to get flack in the comments saying, how dare you talk about my apostle, you know, which I believe both of these guys are considered apostles for whatever reason. And that this man is a man of God and he would never do anything outside of this. But we shall see how this goes. You know, like I said, you got a grand jury indictment, so there had to be some sort of evidence linking to this. So, for those of you who don't know, you know, just to bring you up to speed, this Pastor Cordell Jenkins, he is a pastor in Toledo, Ohio. You know, he was charged back in April along with another pastor whose name is Anthony Haynes for child prostitution, sex trafficking, exploiting a minor, things like that. And this was basically of a 14-year-old girl. That has been going on since 2014, I believe. And all of this going on, you know, grooming her to be a prostitute for 3 years, introducing her to other men in the community, you know, pastors. First of all, you know, Cordell Jenkins was the first one who was dealing with her. Then he introduced her to his co-defendant, if you will, Anthony Haynes, who's also an apostle pastor. He has his own church, his own flock who he's leading. Both of these men are married also. So Jenkins, you know, Cordell Jenkins, he's the founder and pastor of Abundant Life Ministries. And he's also the husband of that Lucas County administrator. Her name is Laura Lloyd, you know. Haynes, Mr. Anthony Haynes, he has his own church as well, which is called the Greater Life Christian Center, and he's also married. So the thing about this, as usual, you know, once they got, you know, the feds, you know, swung down them, because, you know, whenever you get involved with child pornography and stuff like that, you know, and exploiting a minor, these are federal charges, you know. So the feds, you know, swooped down on both of them and arrested them, and, you know, basically people were unsuspecting, and, you know, otherwise quiet men, especially pastors, would be going through something like this. But when they had their first hearing, you know, as usual, you know, dozens of supporters show up to support them in this and are upset at the fact that people want to know what's going on. You know, victims advocacy and, you know, former, you know, child human trafficking victims and stuff showed up as well about this. And basically, I find this similar, and like I said, I always do stories on this, that it's similar to a lot of these other pastors who get caught up or get caught doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And in this case, this is terrible, you know, pimping out a young girl and grooming her to be a prostitute and just having sex with, you know, a minor. And you're a married man also, but you're also leading the flock. But a lot of these men, they have unwavering and unconditional support of their flock and their congregation who show up and basically throw a blind eye to that, but, you know, won't throw a blind eye to a lot of these other things. You know what I mean? It's quite alarming to me, as I've said in the past, that we'll allow this with the pastor to do this, but if it's someone personal like a husband or a wife or something like that, we won't condone that. We won't allow that. This is completely, but the pastor is perfectly fine and will continue to show up. I did a similar video with it's a man called Jermaine, Simmons, and also I did a video on Eddie Long, and people were coming at me saying, how dare you talk about these men? And these men, did all these acts, including Jermaine Simmons. He got in front of his congregation and said, yeah, I did it, but it's only going to be God who's going to remove me from my place. I will not resign. And you got other men in the congregation listening to the fact that this man was sleeping with one of your brother's wives and things like that. And the same thing with, Eddie Long copping out and settling to make this stuff go away. But when you have all this evidence in place, that's how it goes. Both of these men, as they pleaded not guilty to the charges that were brought upon them. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, at the end of the day, they were both indicted by a grand jury, and they pled guilty. So with this young girl, 14 years old, we get into the details of this pastor having sex with this underage girl, and you think, where are her parents at? Or if her parents were basically allowing, especially if her father was in her life, the parents allowing this to go on, because according to the documents and allegations, he was having sex with her at his house, at the church, and at hotels. So you have a 14-year-old daughter. What's going on? Especially if she was amongst one of the people in your congregation. What is going on? Where's the parents at in this? And the fact that this man is getting away with this and, doing all of these other things, and he's got the time to do this, probably spending church money to make it happen, because he started paying her for sex, at first, is what the allegation said. He started paying her for sex. And while he was doing this, he was recording all of their interactions sexually and probably sharing it with other men, sharing it with other pastors, i.e. Anthony Haynes, his co-defendant, who he was sharing the footage of, and probably showing off and bragging. And I guess Anthony Haynes jumped on board and wanted to indulge in this sick act as well, and basically introducing her to other men and pimping her out in the process of doing this. So other men within the community over a period of 3 years. So right now, after all of this stuff is going on, their wives are still sticking with them. He's now, I don't know about Haynes, but Jenkins is trying to work a deal as of recently to get bail in federal court. Many people, I think he's got like 5 people trying to sign, his lawyers trying to prepare this information. They're signing off on the documents, on the paperwork that his lawyers trying to put together, saying that they're willing to put their property on the line. I think $50,000. 2 people with $50,000 worth of property willing to sign off on it. He has other pastor friends, Joseph and Mary Quinn, I believe, who are basically signing off on the document. I believe they're putting up some of their property, and they're saying that he will be staying with them and looking out. They'll be watching out for him. They'll be responsible for him while he's awaiting trial, which they both waived the speedy trial and all that good stuff like that. So they'll be taking care of him. But here's the funny part about this. Oddly enough, this pastor or minister, whatever you want to call it, Joseph and Mary, I would guess they're both husband and wife. They're both ministers. Their son, whose name is Jeremy Quinn, he was convicted he has a rape conviction. He's currently serving 70 years for raping a teenager. So I'm not saying that they condone what their son did, but I guess he's going with a family who basically has a son who committed a similar act, which makes this even more strange. So, I guess we'll see how, in the grand scheme of things, how this case unfolds and how people will defend these men of the cloth by any means, regardless of their shortcomings. And I think Haynes was saying something to the like that every man, and that's what they do when they get in front of the pulpits, or when they get in front of their congregation, they'll say that every man has their faults, and people will be in the congregation clapping, "You go, pastor, you tell it," and all this stuff like that. And it's just, is this the occupation that I need to be in at the end of the day? Because if people are this gullible and allow, men and women to get away with this stuff, and it's national news, that they're pimping, like literally pimping, I don't know. I did a video on, what's his name, Chris Hill, I believe, and it was kind of like the same thing. People were blaming the wife for him doing these things with one of his parishioners or sisters in faith or spiritual daughters. He was having sex with his spiritual daughter. And she was married, and he basically, oversaw the wedding. So it's all this stuff keeps going on. And it's like, people still believe these guys after all of this and feeling that they're the closest thing to God. I believe Cordell Jenkins said that he was called upon, which a lot of these pastors say they were spoken to directly by God. But in his case, he was receiving visions like a prophet and all these other things telling him that he needed to go into ministry. So I guess next thing he's going to say that that God was telling him to conduct these acts with this girl and record it as well. I don't know, man. I'd like to hear your comments on this subject. By all means, make sure y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to hear what y'all got to say, your thoughts on it. If you want to, defend, however you want to defend them, I'd like to hear your defense for this as well. That's cool too. If you haven't yet, follow me on social, or add me on social media. Check me out on Amazon. If you got any questions, feel free to email me any comments, leave them below, or any topics you'd like me to discuss, definitely email me those as well. And, it's Sunday, throw a couple coins in the well of wisdom or whatever. It's up to you. Remember, anything lost can be found again except for time wasted. So I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Peace and blessings of the Almighty be upon all of you. And you guys have a great Sunday. I'm probably going to be doing a Sunday sermon probably right after this sometime. So y'all make sure y'all tune in for that as well. I'll catch you then. Peace.